has experienced it. Okay. We get to see this every single day. I'm going to stop fighting this. And I will tell you right now, most of the time, it's not what you think it is. Okay? So here's my little open story. True story. Ready? A friend of mine is on an airplane. He's flying across the country. And in the airport, he's running through the airport, and he grabs a bag of chocolate chip cookies from a sweet little lady at the Los Angeles airport who is selling homemade cookies at the airport. And he's so excited to eat his cookies. And he runs in there, makes it on the plane, sits down in his seat, and he puts his bag of cookies in the middle seat next to him. Okay? A sweet old lady comes on the plane, comes over and says, "That's my seat." And he says, "Okay." And he stands up, takes off his bag and puts it up above. And he sits back down, and the sweet old lady sits in the seat, the middle seat where he thought he put his cookies. Right? Flight goes up in the air, takes off, and he reaches down, and he sees his bag of cookies, and he starts enjoying his cookies the whole plane ride. And the old woman is just nasty mad at him, but will not tell him why. And he's thinking, how could a sweet old lady be so nasty and look so sweet? And she's grumpy and won't talk to him and just being very, very off. And he's thinking, this is the strangest thing. So he says, "Would you like a cookie?" "No," yelling at him, "I don't want a cookie." And he's like, okay. Earphones in, rest of the flight. They land. He's thinking, this is the nastiest woman I've ever met in my life. She gets off the plane, goes storming out. He gets out to get his bag and finds his bag of chocolate chip cookies next to his bag. So he was munching on her cookies, and he said, he like told this story. He said, here's the deal. Sometimes in life, something can appear to be one thing and be completely different. So he tells a story about his chocolate chip cookies. It's very profound because oftentimes this carpal tunnel syndrome, right? It's a syndrome. It's a blanket term. It gets used and abused, and we find out oftentimes that what you think it is completely different, right? It's so common. This is a very common class people have been to probably 4 or 5 times in the past 2 years. It's so common because it is something that just comes up over and over again. And here's the deal. As we go through this conversation, you'll start to understand that if you suffer from it, or if you know someone who suffers from it, and trust me, now that you're at this class, in the next week or 2 weeks, someone's going to mention to you that they have carpal tunnel. And you're going to go, it's just how the universe works. And you're going to say, actually, or if you're smart, you'll just say, can I help you with that? And they'll either say yes or no. And if they say no, then you can't do anything to help them. And if they say yes, then you can say, right? I learned that the hard way. You can't help someone who doesn't want help. And the reality is that this is a big problem in our country, in our community, and around the world. Thousands and thousands of dollars. And here's the key thing, is that contrary to what you've heard over and over and over again, computer work is not the reason why people get carpal tunnel syndrome. It sure doesn't help if you already have some issues going on in the wrist area, but it is not the primary cause. Fair? Even up to 7 hours a day at the computer. So ergonomics play a huge role, but wrist ergonomics at the computer is not most commonly associated or the main cause of carpal tunnel syndrome. Agreed? Everyone with me? Well, I don't know if you agree, but just trust me on this one. Okay?
Okay, but Dr. Andrew, you have got hair on your chin, and I can't hear a word you're saying because, thank you.
I have lots of hairs on my chin.
No, this was either a really long blonde one going out of your chin.
It's like when you're talking to someone and they have a booger,
Yeah.
and you're like, why didn't you just tell me? Everyone in this room has had that happen to them before.
We're streaming live. I thought I'm just going to let it go, and it's like I can't.
They can't see that hair.
Yeah, but I couldn't hear you.
They can't see that hair. So, carpal tunnel syndrome, okay? Burning, itching, numbness, tingling in the hands. So everyone put your hand back up. And everyone go like this. If you have true carpal tunnel syndrome, it only affects these 3 fingers. Okay? These 3. I'll teach you why. These 3. So if you have numbness, burning, and tingling out in these 2 fingers, or in all your fingers, it's probably not carpal tunnel. Fair?
Okay.
So we can just snap that down, all right? Carpal tunnel syndrome is an extremely common surgery because in theory it's simple. I'll explain it to you. In theory it's simple. And simple things get overused and abused, and a lot of people have the surgery and they don't get any help from it. So that's the symptoms, and they're usually right here. So everyone go like this. Typically, when I have patients do this who have true carpal tunnel syndrome, the symptoms start to decrease. Typically. Now everyone go like this, like they're saying their Hail Mary, right? We were talking about Catholic school, right? And I say, press in really hard. Typically, if you have carpal tunnel syndrome, you're not going to like that. Okay? And then everyone go like this. And I go like this, and I say, press your wrists together. If you have true carpal tunnel syndrome, you're not going to like that either. But you're all going to love this if you have true carpal tunnel syndrome, because look what it does. It creates a tunnel, an opening. Okay? Just a couple tips for you there. So you can teach this to people who say, I have carpal tunnel syndrome. You can say, go like this. And they go, did that hurt? And they go, uh-uh. And they say, go like this. And say, like you're saying a prayer. Did that hurt? And they go, uh-uh. You say, go like this. And you say, that help? Uh-uh. And then you can say, which fingers tingle? And they go, this one. And you go, I'm a genius. It's not carpal tunnel syndrome. Okay? Why does carpal tunnel syndrome develop? There's a laundry list of reasons that carpal tunnel syndrome develops, and it's one of the most misdiagnosed orthopedic conditions. One of the most misdiagnosed. Because it's simple, right? Poor posture is the number one reason, and that includes posture of your spine. Actually, most importantly, posture of your spine. So posture, continued work. Now, people typically will get carpal tunnel syndrome if they have higher incidence of true carpal tunnel syndrome if they work these really prolonged, very digital, extensive jobs. Okay, the worst case of carpal tunnel syndrome I've ever seen in my life, where it was just like so bad and we couldn't get the woman help. When we were in India, she worked at a cigarette rolling company, and she did this. I said, "How many times do you think you've done this?" And she said, "Millions." Yeah. Her hands, her carpal tunnel was so collapsed that it was completely, it killed the nerve. And these 3 fingers were the size of pencils, and these 2 were normal size. The nerve was completely dead. Okay? You know, if you're hammering on a jackhammer all day, of course, you know, overuse and extensive injury to the area will make the situation worse. But I really want people to understand that there's a lot of other reasons too, including pregnancy. The reason pregnancy is associated with carpal tunnel syndrome is because you have fluid retention. And I'm going to show you some diagrams. But there's an opening in your wrist, and when there's a whole bunch of fluid in your body, that opening gets filled with fluid and puts pressure on the nerve. Okay? Weight gain, diabetes, hormonal changes. These are all things also associated with carpal tunnel syndrome. So it's not just as simple as a quick surgery. And I tell you this because I have dozens of patients who have had the surgery, and guess what? It didn't do it. And how sad. Spend thousands of dollars and have a part of your body mutilated to find that it didn't work. Okay? And of course, autoimmune disease. These people, rheumatoid arthritis is the major one. These people usually kind of come in here talking about this to begin with. Okay? Poor posture, poor posture, poor posture. Anything that causes fluid retention can be associated with carpal tunnel syndrome. Right? We already talked about pregnancy, weight gain, hypothyroidism, autoimmune diseases, arthritis. All right? Hormonal changes. Estrogen. So women, estrogen is responsible for it allows your body to hold on to water. Okay? It enhances fluid retention in the body. When women are giving birth to children, they double the amount of fluid in their body. They double. Okay? It's because of hormones like estrogen. All right? So if you guys really want to, show someone something, I'm going to do this for you. you'll really understand this. If you really want to prove to someone how smart you are, you can look at this. See this here right here? This is called the flexor tendons or the flexor retinaculum. It's a very strong tendon that goes around your wrist. Okay? When people have true carpal tunnel syndrome, I have them pinch their fingers together, and I take a piece of athletic tape, and I tape it really strong around their wrist right there. So then it's taped, and it looks like this. And it usually removes the tingling and numbness because it's creating space there. Okay? So, another one. Can you guys see? Right there. That's the carpal tunnel. So it really truly is an opening, and it is a bunch of very strong tendons. And through the tendons run through this strong tendon runs these tendons that go to control your fingers. So this motion, you can see right there is my tendons coming down through here. Tendons go underneath this strong sheath. Tell people it's like a sheath. Okay? When the circle or that sheath collapses, it puts pressure on the nerve. Everyone understand that? So, here's what happens. Out of the spine, out of T1, C7, C6, and C5 come a whole bunch of nerve bundles. And those nerves run out your neck, under the collarbone, and down through this area. Anyone who does lots of overhead work will know what I'm talking about. When they say, I do overhead work, I'm an electrician, or I'm hanging something on the wall, my hands went numb, doc. Okay? They form this nerve bundle, it runs down through here and along the inside, right underneath the biceps tendon. Anyone ever been punched there? The whole hand goes numb. Comes down here and then it branches off, and you have one nerve that goes here. Anyone heard of the funny bone? It runs right through there and around that knob and all the way down to these two fingers. You hit your funny bone, these three fingers don't go numb. These two do. And that nerve does not go through the carpal tunnel. It goes right along the outside of the wrist and down to these two. That's the ulnar nerve. Right there. Bam. These two fingers go numb. These three fingers come down here. They go underneath there. And then they go to this guy. But only half of it. This half's that finger. This guy. And this guy. And right there. I'm going to have to take a bath tonight. And right there is the carpal tunnel. My wife's going to say, what'd you do to yourself? I've taught this class a lot, and the class that the most people understood was the class I drew on my arm. So I decided I'd do it again. That's carpal tunnel syndrome. Got it? Now, if you're smart, you should be looking at this and you should be saying, well, there's a lot of things between there and there. So you have the spinal cord that comes down. You have 3 or 4 vertebrae right here where the nerves come out. And then you have these nerves, they travel underneath the collarbone. And then they come down here and you see a lot of musculature, the pec muscle. I've met bodybuilders, their pecs get so developed that it can put pressure on these nerves. And it's not until we get them to stop doing chest press that we really can get to the bottom of this. You have all these muscles, and then you run along the inside here. You have the elbow joint. You have a whole bunch more muscles here, and then you have the carpal tunnel. Okay? And once again, if you're really smart, you should be looking at this and you should be thinking, we need to talk about the neck, right? We have to talk about the neck. Because if the nerve's irritated here, and we're scientists and we care about our health, and we're going to start working backward, we can say the problem's there, but what's further upstream? And I always tell a story. If you have polluted water in a river, the first thing that you would do is you would check to see who is dumping pollution into the river in the town. So we'd see who's dumping pollution in the river at Bend. And if we couldn't find anyone, the source must be where? It's got to be further upstream. So we have to start working our way back. And eventually we start crossing off all these other areas. We get led to the neck. Okay? Which is why I told you that the main challenge with carpal tunnel syndrome is getting someone's posture fixed. Okay? You've got to get their posture fixed. Can you see this tunnel? Can you see what's doing to that nerve? Okay? Now, here's a major thing that pops up, and I see it every day. It's called double crush syndrome. It's symptoms here, but somewhere else involved, and this area is involved as well. Okay? You can work all day long here, but if you don't work somewhere else also, you can't get to the bottom of it. Two areas. Two people are dumping toxins into the river. And if you find one and you clean up their source and you forget about the other one, the river still what?
Still polluted.
Gets polluted. And as a doctor, this is where it can get a little confusing because we can't only focus on one area. And I always tell people, I say, if you want to get to the root of the cause, ignore the symptom. Acknowledge the symptom, but don't only treat the symptom. Okay? See where I'm going with this? We have to look outside of the box to really dive deeper and to see what's going on. If you have, let me say it another way. If you have a headache, don't only think the problem's in your head. Because it can be coming from somewhere else. Maybe it was the food I ate. Maybe it was the lack of sleep. Maybe it was the way that I slept. Maybe I hate my job. Maybe I'm emotionally stressed. Maybe I have a subluxation in my spine. Maybe my neck muscles are tight. Maybe I am starting my cycle. Maybe it's hormones. Maybe it's the toxins. Maybe every time I smell that candle that my wife burns, I get a headache. There's just 1,000 different things that it could be. Don't just assume that the problem's coming from here. It's just where the symptom lives. Okay, it's the downstream effect. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so Nancy, could you go to in between my computers and grab that really cool laser that I have? You know what I'm talking about? It looks like a lightsaber. All right, so let's talk about chiropractic and how chiropractic can help you with your carpal tunnel syndrome. All right, number one, does everyone have a vivid picture in their head of what their x-rays look like of their spine? You should, because we just looked at yours the other day. Andreas, we just looked at yours recently. I have these images of everyone's spine. Every time thank you. Every time I put my hands on your spine to adjust you, and look at my computer screen and I burn that image into my head so that I know that I'm doing the right thing to help you. I get awfully scared when people start telling me that they're guessing at things. I go, that doesn't make me feel good. So when we look at your spine, remember, we have to keep very close relationship with where those nerves come from. So if we look at your spine and we see challenges down in the lower to mid neck, and someone comes to me and tells me, Doc, I have carpal tunnel syndrome, I always say one thing. I say, who looked at your spine? And if they say nobody, I say, we need to start there. We have to start there. And we can work down here, but we have to start there. Okay? And I'll tell you, years and years and years of doing this, the more I ask that question, the more times people say nobody. More and more times people say nobody. Okay? So we have to look at the spine. Can everyone understand now, since I drew on my hand, how those nerves go all the way up to the spine? Okay? Treating carpal tunnel syndrome, in my opinion, without looking at the spine is damaging to the patient. I really believe that, because you could be completely missing the source of where it's coming from. I've treated dozens and dozens of patients over the years with carpal tunnel syndrome. At least half of them, I've never touched their wrist. And they think I'm doing voodoo. And I say, you forgot how your body works. And as soon as I say that, they go, you forgot how your body works. And they go, oh. And I say, let's go back to how your body works. Here's your spine. Here's the nerve. That nerve's telling us there's a problem. It's coming from somewhere. It could be coming from there, but it could be coming from here. It could be coming from here, and it could be coming from there. Let's start here and work our way down instead of start there. Let's start upstream. Okay? So at least half of the time, I don't even touch the wrist. And I mean that. If we start our work on the wrist, we can maybe get some symptoms to resolve. And we can sometimes shoot ourselves in the foot because it's reoccurring. Okay? So we have to look at the spine. We have to look at the curve. We have to look at where your nerves are being the most irritated. Okay? Taping. I tell you all, a really cool trick. Next time you know someone who says they have carpal tunnel syndrome, get some tape. It could be electrical tape or duct tape, but they won't like you as much. Get some tape, have them do this, squeeze their hand together and put a really strong piece of tape on there. Don't make it so tight that it cuts off their blood supply, because then their hand's going to go numb and purple anyway. But you do that and you tape it. I've seen athletes do this. I've seen football players do this. I've seen all different types of athletes do this. They make, you've done this? You've done this, yeah. Another athlete who's done this. So you'll see this now. You'll see this now. They make braces. And I always tell people, before we put you in an uncomfortable brace, let's try the simple stuff. Okay? Long before you ever have surgery, let's exhaust all of your options that can prevent you, hopefully, from ever having to go there. Okay? 2 years ago, I had a woman. I was teaching this class, and my staff advertised this class in the source, just in the free calendar. And a woman showed up, and she said, she was sitting right here. She said, after class, she said, I have carpal tunnel syndrome. She said, I'm scheduled for surgery on Monday. It was Tuesday. She said, can you fix me? I said, And she was like, no? She gave me that look, and I was like, I can't fix you. I said, I can give you a good idea of what it might take for you to fix yourself. And she was like, okay. I said, my advice to you, let's check your spine. Let's see how your body's working. If you want to prolong the surgery, I would recommend doing that. Okay? I'm telling you the truth. Here's what happened. She called the doctor and she said, I'm not coming in for surgery. I'm going to try something else. Doctor was not happy. Disagreed. I said, it's okay. So we can always go back for surgery. I said, what if we can start helping you? I took x-rays of her. I put her on a 6-month plan. I said, I don't recommend having surgery before 6 months. I said, if 6 months go by, or if 3 months go by, and you're in so much pain that you can't manage this, let's have another conversation. You can call him, and he'll cut into you next week. Yeah. I know that because when I destroyed my knee from a sports injury, I went to the orthopedic surgeon. He said, I'll see you on Wednesday. It was Monday. I said, what's going to happen on Wednesday? He said, you're going to have knee surgery. I said, ha! No, I'm not. I said, what do you mean? He goes, that's my first appointment available. I was like, do you think we should talk about this a little bit? He's like, bottom line is you need surgery and I can do it on Wednesday. What do you say? I was like, no. I say no. I still ended up having surgery. But this woman, anyway, she came into the clinic. We were almost completely able to reverse her clinically diagnosed carpal tunnel syndrome, and she got better. And what do you think happened when she got better?
She told the doctor.
I never heard from her again.
Oh, yeah.
I never heard from her again. Never heard from her again. And here's why I'm telling you this story. Because when that happens, that means the person didn't understand and get educated on what they need to do to prevent it from ever coming back. Someday she's going to call me back. I know she is. I've already seen it in my head. She's going to call me back, and I'm going to say, let's get started again. I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm going to say, let's get started again. Okay? The potentially most dangerous day in your journey with me as a healthcare provider and healthcare warrior is the day you feel better. And because the day you feel better, you have to make a decision. Am I going to continue doing the things that have helped me get better for the rest of my life to prevent me from ever going back, or am I going to move on? And I wholeheartedly tell you that story because it's true and it's exactly what happened. This is a nifty little gadget. And I don't let many people hold this because I don't want you to drop it because it's that expensive. Okay? This is a nifty little gadget. This is a cold laser. This is not chiropractic, by the way. Okay? And this is not doing the healing. This is upregulating cellular activity to decrease inflammation and stimulate the cells to produce energy to heal. Okay? It's a very powerful class 4 laser. So powerful if you shine it in your eye, it could blind you forever. Which is why if you've been in this office and you've seen us use it, we wear glasses. Okay? So, it's not charged. I can't show you it. Oh, there it is. Never mind. So this light is a frequency light is healing. If we trapped ourselves in a closet, we wouldn't live because we need the sun. We need light to live. So this light, watch how bright this thing gets. Okay? So this light activates the cells and stimulates them to heal. Did you guys use laser at the time when you were... Yeah. It's been around for a very long time, but it's gaining momentum because it works so well. So I bring this up. Oh yeah, they were They were this big back then. Big machine, wires everywhere. So this is how technology is really kind of taken healing to the next level. So we can use healing frequencies of light to stimulate your body to function and heal better, combined with neurological pathways reopened through chiropractic. We use this thing on all kinds of stuff. I always tell people, this isn't doing the healing, it's stimulating your body to heal the way it's designed to. Okay? So cold laser there's amazing research out there. So I always tell people when they come in and say, I have carpal tunnel syndrome, I say, what have you tried? Are you open to trying new things that have clinical significance for helping people just like you? If the answer is yes, I say, hey, hang on. We got a lot of amazing things we can teach you. I always tell people, start least invasive, always. If the doctor says surgery is your first choice, ask another doctor. It's that simple, unless it's life or death situation. Do as they say. Okay? 75% of surgical cases of carpal tunnel syndrome, the symptoms return within a period of 2 years after surgery. This is taken out of JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association. Okay, the study looked at ranges of motion in 71 women who were clinically diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndrome. They measured, just like I do in my office when I have you tilt your head and Deanna uses that instrument. We're measuring the motion of your neck. Most clinically significant was the worse the carpal tunnel syndrome, the lower the range of motion in the neck. So the women who had carpal tunnel syndrome who could only move their head a little tiny bit, their carpal tunnel syndrome was worse every single time. Decreased range of motion in the neck increases the symptomatology of carpal tunnel syndrome because those nerves come out of the neck. And when the neck's not moving and it's rigid and full of subluxations, of course that nerve's being irritated all the way down to the hand. So I always tell people, here's an x-ray so you can understand this is a beautiful neck curve where the nerves come out to go all the way down to your hand. Here's a beautiful neck curve that's flowing freely and clearly, no obstruction of the nerve. Here's a neck curve that goes the opposite direction. This nerve, or this neck, has massive amounts of nerve pressure that go all the way down to the hand and fingers and toes. Some of you in this room have x-rays that look like this. That's why we're working on it. It didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to go away overnight. I've had some people that tell me, Doc, as soon as you adjust me, my carpal tunnel syndromes go away. Next day I wake up, I go to work, and as soon as I get back to work, it comes back. I say, that tells you we're working in the right spot. When your neck is in alignment, it's not there, but your body has pattern to keep it out of alignment. Allie and Dee, if you guys need to go home, you guys are free to go home. We'll be done in 2 minutes. So here's alternative treatments outside of chiropractic. If you have any of these, if you have any carpal tunnel symptoms, people say, what should I start with? I say, all of it. Just go hard. Let's get it done. Let's work on your neck. Let's work on your spine. Let's work on the nerves. Vitamin B6 and B12 helps. Sometimes that does the trick in itself outside of chiropractic. I always tell people, you should look at the spine. Okay? This helps with nerve conduction, helps build the sheath of the nerve and helps with nerve firing. Magnesium helps break muscle spasms, calms the body down. Okay? So taking magnesium can have some significant changes. Bromelain is an enzyme. So take enzymes. Okay? Because everything in your body functions because of enzymes. Take some good digestive enzymes so your body can break down food and process it better. Use an anti-inflammatory diet. I tell people, if you have an inflammatory reaction in your body, you have to go to an anti-inflammatory diet. Okay? I tell people, you have to stop drinking alcohol. I told a guy today, came in, new patient, he goes, what should I do, Doc? I only have 2 weeks, I'm in town. I said, number one, stop drinking alcohol today. I said, if you stop drinking alcohol for 2 weeks and you're getting adjusted, you're going to feel like a new man. Okay? Stop drinking alcohol. Salt. Salt creates water retention in the body. So decrease your salt intake. Remember, if there's an opening in a tunnel and it's inflamed around it and you're eating a high salt sodium diet, it's going to hang on to more water and it could clog up the system even more. Rest the wrist. Right? If you're an electrician and you have carpal tunnel syndrome and you tell me, Doc, I can't not do my job, I can probably look at you and say, then it might not get better, or it might take a lot longer. Okay, same for athletes, you know. What they used to do, shoot them up and put them back out there. All right, ice, compress. Remember I told you, tape the wrist like this and elevate the arm at some point throughout the day. Fish oils. Do you guys know that fish oils have very high anti-inflammatory properties? Load up on good fish oils. Okay? I always tell people, take like 3, 4, 5 grams of fish oils a day if you're battling some inflammation. Turmeric. You guys know what turmeric is? Make turmeric tea. I have a recipe. Boswellia, ginger. Make yourself a beautiful concoction. I drink this stuff all the time. I make a big batch of it and keep it in my refrigerator, and I drink it all week. Essential oils, specifically, these are the 3. If you're in the essential oils, or if you're not, talk to Nancy. Wintergreen, cypress, and helichrysum. Helichrysum is the one that you taught me about. It works amazing for carpal tunnel syndrome, I found. Massage, trigger point, cupping, acupuncture, cold laser therapy. You guys heard Andreas talk? CBD oils. I didn't put that in there because I knew he was going to be here. I was going to plug him a little bit. CBD oils. Explore with this stuff. It's amazing what it can do for inflammation in your body. I think it's profound. I think we should use it.
Even topically.
Absolutely.
My stepdad uses it for his arthritis, and it's super helpful.
Take it internally. Andreas, you're making a new blend. It's going to be a topical.
It's the only pressed one. So
Yep.
Full spectrum.
Full spectrum,
There's
you know.
Psychoactive.
You're making a cream though also, correct?
We have pain. Pain.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So, and your husband knows some about this. So this is just, use it. People are, I think we're over the point where people are like, Doc, can I talk to you in private? I'm like, yeah. They're like, so I'm taking CBDs. I'm like, cool. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, we don't have to be quiet about this. We live in a state that gives us an opportunity to do it, right? So I think it's fine. All right, so here's the big picture, okay? You guys know who Walt Disney is. Anytime a kid comes into the office and they tell me they're going to Disney, I go, who are you most excited to see? And who do they say? Mickey. Every single time. I am so excited to see Mickey. And these 3 little girls went to Disneyland, and they came back, and I was like, how was Mickey? And guess what they said? We didn't even see him. And I'm like, okay. I said, was Disney great? And they're like, it was better than we could have imagined, and we didn't even see Mickey. Okay? And Walt Disney, he wanted to create an environment where families come together and have the most amazing time of their lives. That was his goal. He wanted adults to have the best time of their lives, and he wanted a 3-year-old to have the best time of their lives. And he figured it out. He created a place where people go to have the best time in their lives. You see here, 5.2 million people go there every year. Okay, 5.2 million people. Hundreds of millions. 52.5. They have 62,000 employees. At one time, they were the largest employer in the world. Disney. It's amazing. Okay? So, what I didn't tell you about the woman who showed up with carpal tunnel syndrome and gave me 5 days to cure her, what I didn't tell you about her was as we started working with her and she started getting better, one day she said, hey, my daughter gets migraines. And I was like, huh, interesting. How long has she been getting migraines for? We think 3 or 4 years. We took her to a bunch of doctors. She takes medication for it. I'm like, okay. Think we can help her? I said, what do you think? She's like, I don't see why not. I said, let's get her in here. Let's take a look. Okay? Comes in, take a look at her daughter, take x-rays just like I did on all of you, and I said, I know where the problem's coming from. 100%. I can look at you in the eye and tell you I know 100% where the problem's coming from. Or at least it's associated with this. 100%. Really? 100%. I'm positive. You can't have a spine that looks like this and not have problems. She goes, really, Doc? I said, absolutely. I said, your daughter needs adjusted. Let's get her adjusted. Started working with the daughter. Guess what happened? Started getting better, and the headaches quit. When mom quit coming in, daughter quit coming in. But I call this the ripple effect, because you can show up for one reason, and you can learn something that can change everyone else in your life's why they're living and how they're being affected. And you show up because these 3 fingers go numb, and then you give your daughter an opportunity to live a better life that you didn't know possible. That daughter could have been on medications her whole life. Could have destroyed every aspect of her life. Could have ruined her marriage, prevented her from getting married, prevented her from going to school, getting D's and C's and drop out of school. Kid with headache, migraines. And it all changed because she showed up one time and gave me 4 days to cure her. So my takeaway message, the big why here for you is when you leave here, you learned a little bit about carpal tunnel. And you get to learn some cool things, and you have some cool tips. You can be really smart and tell people at work, you know, give them some tips. You can tell them you need to get your spine checked. I don't care if they get it checked by me. Get it checked by someone. I'm over that. You can get your spine checked. You give them all some cool tips. And in teaching them, you might save someone else's life in the process. Just like that little girl. Okay? So if people have carpal tunnel syndrome, yeah, help them get help. But know that the bigger story goes way deeper. And that's what Walt Disney wanted. He wanted a picture of you and your kids at Disney World on your refrigerator for the rest of your life. And I see it every single day. Okay? Does anybody have any questions for me on carpal tunnel syndrome? Does anybody have any questions about the oils? Because Andreas is here, and I bet he wouldn't mind if you asked him. I could, you know, prostitute you a little bit.
Wasn't planning on that.